Hey guys, and welcome to Girls Frontline 2. So as we are awaiting the arrival of Nikketa for Global in the next few days, let us see if she is worth your pulls. Only your pulls, okay? The ones that you have. So Guilt, the holder, takes 5% more hydro damage from Nikketa and Coolidge. That is her first effect. Then she has extra command insight as well because she's a sniper. Then she has clue, increases damage dealt outside of one's turn by 5%. Maximum 5 stacks, so up to 25%. This is considered a hydro type buff and cannot be dispelled. She also has extra action and surveillance. When the holder deals damage to enemies, receives 2 stability damage, takes 15 more damage from counterattack performed by Coolidge. This is considered a hydro type debuff and cannot be dispelled. Then she also dishes out Tideway, so applies damp and to units in which they end their movement in the area for 2 turns. Enemy units in the area gain weakness 2 hydro damage and hydro tiles. Okay, so damp reduces healing received by 40% upon reaching 2 stacks. It is converted to congestion, and maximum 2 stacks considered a hydro debuff as well. Congestion, fear, uncontrollable, actively moves away from the caster. This is removed when the caster dies. She also applies attack up to herself, increase attack up by 15%, and a counterattack, which is actually the core of her kit, the counterattacks to increase her damage. She relies heavily on counterattack to exponentially increase her damage. So we'll talk about that more later. Performs an attack cannot be triggered by interceptions, counterattacks, or action supports. So as for her skills, we start off with her basic attack, Warning Shot. This is your usual basic attack with an 80% attack to it. The next one is going to be Call for Partner. This is an active AoE, summon, and debuff. Selects an empty tile within a 9-tile radius and summons Coolidge. So this is basically her S1. Then deals AoE physical damage equivalent to 80% attack to all enemies within the 2-tile radius of the selected tile. Applies Guilt for 2 turns. If Coolidge is already present, it will be relocated to the selected tile instead. Increases Confected Index by 1 point. So if you upgrade this to a Vertebrae 4, this adds on to the stability index by 2 and enhances the effects of Coolidge, which takes 10% more hydro damage instead, and restores Coolidge HP by 30% max of HP after relocation. And if you want to upgrade this further, increase the range of Coolidge's loyalty by 2 tiles and increase Coolidge inherited HP to 100%. Coolidge gains Coolidge Deterrence, and it is affected as well by her fixed key, which generates Tideway. So this is actually useful if you are fixed key number 4 is going to be useful very much if you're going to be using it only for V0. If you have Nikketa more than V0, this won't be used much, as you won't be using your S1 much in your skill rotation. So second one is S2, Stern Condemnation. Select an enemy target within 9-tile radius, deals hydro damage equivalent to 80% of attack to it, and applies Guilt for 2 turns. Increase Confectance Index by 2 points for self, and gains extra command. So this one at Vertebrae 1, if you plan to bring her to at least 1, S2 is a perfect upgrade, so damage multiplier increased by 20. Extra command is replaced with an extra action. Then this is affected by a fixed key, number 3. Stern Condemnation. The skill now deals AoE hydro damage equivalent to 80% attack to all enemies within a 2-tile radius. Okay, so this one is going to be the ultimate. Righteous Verdict. This is targeted. Selects an enemy target within 9 tiles. Deals hydro damage equivalent to 130% of attack to it. If the target has Guilt, performs an additional attack and removes Guilt. Consumes all Confectance Index. For each additional Confectance Index point is consumed, increase damage of the skill by 5%. So this one is almost similar to the skills of other characters. Particular comparison would be Chua. As you do your ultimate, for every confectance index that you have stored, it's gonna be what do you call this? It's gonna be acting as a multiplier for the existing variable, which is 5%. So that means that it could be at the highest at 30 with 6 confectance index. That is nice. Okay, so if you plan to take her up to Vertebrae 2, we'll talk about her Vertebrae in a while. So Vertebrae 2, damage multiplier increased by 20, decreases confectance index cost by 1, which is a big decrease already. If the target has guilt, apply surveillance on the target after skill activation for 1 turn, and at V6 for each additional point of confectance index consumed. Increase damage dealt by 10% instead. Guilt will no longer be removed. Whoa, that's for V6. Okay, so let's move to her passive. We have immediate execution. If Coolidge is present, Nikketa gains insight. Before Nikketa and Coolidge activates their skill, both gain 1 stack of clue. If face weakness is exploited, gains an additional stack of clue as well. Coolidge can only perform counterattack once per round, and performing counterattack. Nikketa will activate Righteous Verdict against the target. Righteous Verdict does not have a confectance index requirement, so take note of that. At Vertebrae 3, which is probably the second stop that, you know, we'll talk about that later. I'm actually going ahead of myself. Doubles the maximum stack limit of clue for 10 stacks. Coolidge can perform an additional counterattack per turn. Okay, as for Coolidge himself, the doggy dog of Nikketa. So skills, Coolidge Loyalty, passive, counterattack. Enemies will not select Coolidge as a target of their attacks. If enemies within 3 tiles deal damage, performs counterattack, dealing Hydro damage equivalent to 80% of attack and 2 stability damage. Then Coolidge's Deterrence, passive, decrease attack for all enemies within 5 tile radius by 10%. This passive is only unlocked after reaching Vertebrae 5. However, that is unfortunate. Okay, so for the Vertebrae, I've already talked about where they are and what their values are. So we'll go straight to her fixed keys. Okay, which fixed keys are actually good for her? So fixed key 1, after using a basic attack or single target skills, increase confectance index by 1 point. This is a must-have. Okay, this is the first one. The second one is going to be fixed key 2. If a target has guilt, deals 2 additional stability damage to it. This is actually okay as well. This is mandatory, but this can be swapped out. I'll you know, pinpoint which fixed key. Fixed key 3. Stern Condemnation. The skill now deals AoE Hydro damage equal to 80%. Not really a what do you call this? A must-have. But 1 is a must-have. 2 is a must-have. But you can swap 2 out with 4. Okay, just in case that you would want to, what do you call this? You would want to use 4 for V0. So that is where 4 comes in. If she is at V0, you can go with 4 because you'll be using this for your S1, which you'll be using more frequently when you're at tier 0. So however, when you are above V0, I would suggest you go with fixed key 2. Okay? Then the next one, fixed key 5, not really applicable. Fixed key 6 is also a must. I would suggest you equip this because when gaining clue, gains attack up for 1 turn, which makes attack up mostly permanent in her kit. So I think the one that you should be putting in is going to be fixed key 1, fixed key 6, fixed key 2 and 4 can be interchanged depending on your build. Fixed key 4 for V0, and if you're over V0, consider fixed key 2 as well. So as for our common key, attack is at 5% if the holder has Hydro type buffs, increase critical rate by 10%. Nice. This actually is going, this could be going to her. Or this could be going to Tololo, depending on who is your highest DPS damage dealer. If you built V6 Nikketa, definitely this goes to her. But I think if she's at, well, it really depends upon you. But this is going to be a flexible key, common key. Either Tololo or Nikketa could benefit from this. So for her weapon options, really, you don't really need to get her weapon. The more damage actually scales with either Samosek. This is basically a free-to-play weapon. If you could purchase this in the neural integration shop, definitely, or you have, you know, a gun like this lying around, you could actually use this. This is a perfect gun to be used for her, especially if you don't plan to spend for the game. Then if you do have an bittersweet caramel, you know, extra lying around, this is the best option for her, honestly, with the, you know, with the critical damage built-in stat into this gun. Actually, critical damage is also present in Samosek, but this gun also ignores 10% of the target's defense, which is actually good for Nikketa. So with her copies and recommendations, if you're free to play, okay, I'll start off with free to play. If you're free to play, V0 is actually the best for her. V0 Samosek would be probably the best for her. Again, her kit is actually complete. The copies in her kit is just scaling up damage. Okay, that is the reason why for the that she has to have copies. At V1, the damage increases to a 125% increase. Okay, and at V1 allows Nikketa to always use S2 and ultimate on every turn except for the first, instead of alternating between S1 and S2. So as I mentioned, once you go beyond S0, you won't be using S1 much. Take note that the extra action is detrimental in case where buffs are turn-based, as this causes the buff to round out faster. Okay, take note of that. There's a kind of a penalty for V1. That's weird. Next level that is actually very crucial level is actually V3. So at V3, her damage increases to a 207% output from a 125% at V1. So at V3, increase the number of counterattack and subsequently Righteous Verdict performed by 1 per round, as well as doubling the damage increase given to damage dealt outside of one's turn, which significantly boosts Nikketa's damage. Okay, so that is where the damage is, the increase in the number of counterattacks. Take note that she relies heavily on counterattacks. The more the enemy attacks, the more she can deal more damage. So the lesser the enemy attacks, the lesser she can deal more damage. So if a boss technically has a lot of attacks, she is going to benefit greatly from this. And at V6, her damage scales up to 292% from 207 at V3. So since guilt is not consumed, all Righteous Verdict will be dealing an additional attack. Instead of the first one, it also increases damage based on Confectance Index consumed, which significantly boosts Nikketa's damage. So that is a huge boost at 292. So again, just to recap everything, if you're a free-to-play and you don't want to spend, go with Samosek and V0. If you like to add a little bit more to her kit, go for V1. Still use Samosek. Probably, I don't know. Unless if you have a weapon, a bittersweet caramel lying around there, you could actually use it because you pulled an extra before, and you probably used it in Dash. So you could take that from Dash and give it to Nikketa for V1. So again, V1 is not really a must-have. It's more of if you're V0, go directly to V3. If you're V3, this is where you would probably think of, probably a jumping point up to V6, just in case she does her rerun. You don't have to have her at V6. If you have her at V6, she will only replace Tololo as the hyper carry for Hydro. Right now, I'm actually happy with Tololo in her damage, but she definitely increases her damage over Tololo by 50% at V6. So we're talking about a Tololo that is at V5 or V6, minimum V5. So again, those are the choices for you. She is actually a must pull for Hydro, since she is part of the team that deals DPS and could be your hyper carry for Hydro, just in case you need to go to V6. So V0, very nice utility, very free to play. At V6, V3 and V6, she is going at V3, she is probably matching Tololo already. And at V6, she goes over Tololo by 50% in terms of damage. That is it, guys. I hope I'm clear with that. So hopefully I could just go with V0 for the next poll for Nikketa. We will see. We will see. Probably V1, depending on how much I have and depending how much Doritos I have. But again, guys, what do you think of Nikketa's kit? Would you pull for her? Thank you guys for staying this far. Take care. Stay safe. This is the Warden, and I'm out of here.